This morning, as you know, it's the official launch of IEAR, Irish Employers for Affordable Rates. And we're delighted here to have two speakers this morning. The first of all being John Conran, our chairman, and secondly, he will be followed by Jim Powers, who will introduce and explain and outline the report that he has compiled on our behalf. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask you to put your hands together, please, and welcome a very hard-working man, our chairman, John Conran.
Thank you, Niall. Again, I'd like to welcome everybody here. It's great to see some of the media here, and it's great to have everybody else here as well. As Niall said, my name is John Conran. I'm from Wexford, and I'm chairman of the organisation IEAR, which is Irish Employers for Affordable Rates. This organisation was set up based on a need for people to be able to get something done about the awful rate situation that's hitting most businesses in the country at the moment. We started it in Wexford back last March. There was a group of us got together who were really being affected by rates, and we had a meeting in Wexford, and a great crowd showed up that day, which showed that there was a fierce feeling in the county about the rate situation. There were 600 people came to our meeting down there, and it was an incredible success on the night. As a result of that, a lot of counties contacted us afterwards to say, listen, we're in the same boat, can we roll this out? So the last 6 months, we've been going around the country trying to set up this organisation, IEAR, and I'm glad to say, great to see that we have at this stage people from every county in Ireland on IEAR, and we have a lot of members who are businesses who are being affected by the rates. It was born basically, the organisation was born because we have come to the situation here in our businesses where rates maybe were affordable during the Celtic Tiger, but at the moment they're not affordable anymore. Rates have gone up by 47% in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, we were making money. Now we're making very, very little money. Most businesses are hanging on by their toenails, and we can't afford to pay the rates anymore. Yet it's one of those silent killers which we can do nothing about. We have to pay our rates every year. We can negotiate most costs, but the one intangible cost that cannot be negotiated are the rates. We can't even appeal it. We can't go to the government. There's the valuation law which says you can only appeal rates on a material change of circumstances. And in other words, what that means is if you own a pub, you have to close down half your pub, change the circumstances of that so that you have the right of appeal. And that works right through the whole business sector. And this is totally unfair considering that our economic situation has deteriorated so much. So we're looking for a few things, but as an organisation, and one of the things that we're looking for mostly is to get the Valuation Act changed. We need to get it that the economic circumstances be inserted in there so that we can have a right of appeal against rates which we can't afford. I'd like to give you an example, for instance, of some of the high rates that may be being paid, and I know the man won't mind me saying it, but a friend of mine, former Wexford manager as well, was Liam Griffin, and Liam has 3 hotels in Wexford, 1 in Kilkenny, 2 in Wexford and 1 in Kilkenny, and his rates bill every year is €500,000. Paddy Redmond is here, has another couple of hotels. His rates bill is €350,000 a year. Like, that's incredible. Liam had 400 people working for him 3 or 4 years ago, and now he has only 300, and he's had to let a lot of people off. Now, some of it has been with the downturn, but the biggest intangible cost that he has a gripe with are the commercial rates. And we're all in the same boat. Everybody, my own situation, we have a business out in the country, 10 miles from the nearest town. Rattenure is a one-horse town, and the horse is dead. And there we used to pay something like 10,000 rates. Now I built on a bit of a shed, and now I have to pay 30,000 rates every year. And now I'm in the furniture business, and our income has totally been decimated, as you know, as the building trade has, and lots of you are involved in that. And we just can't afford 30,000 a year. And we have had no right of appeal unless we had a material change of circumstances, which we've got around in an indigenous way, another little way we've been able to get around, and we have an appeal going forward. But still in all, it's not fair that so many businesses can't appeal. We started it back, as I said, last March, and at the moment we have a lot of the business groups have come on board with us. For instance, ISME, the VFI, the LVA, SIMI, IHF, IHBMA, which is the Irish Hardware and Buildings Association, the Restaurants Association, the Travel Agency Association, the Convenience Stores and News Agency Association, and numerous chambers of commerce from around the country have joined us as well, all with the single purpose. And we reckon at this stage that we're representing about 30,000 businesses around the country. Now, if you roll that out into further how many employees are being affected by that, we reckon about 500,000 employees is what we're affecting at the moment. So it's a huge chunk of Middle Ireland being affected by this problem. And we really need to get something done. So we have a few objectives as a group. We've set about a few things that we've done. One of the things that we want, the first thing, is we want an amendment to the Valuation Act. We want the material change of circumstances clause changed to allow an employee to appeal the rates valuation due to the change in economic circumstances. We need the government as well to recognise the fact that we no longer can afford the huge rate increases that have been levied on us over the years, over the last 10 years in particular, and we need immediate action from the government. So that's one of the objectives of IEAR. We're asking as well that the penalties for failure to pay the rates be changed to take into account the law-abiding nature of our members, and that a more reasonable way of enforcing the payment of penalties be found. And the last thing we think is that we should have an input into the rate-setting decisions which affect our businesses in such a detrimental way. We are the only sector that pay commercial rates, and yet we have no representation in the making of rates tariffs every year, either with the Valuation Office or the county councils. So when does the campaign start? Well, it started back in March, but it's really rolling out at the moment. And from today, we're going to be an action group looking to have meetings with ministers, TDs, lobbying here, there and elsewhere to try and get a situation happens where we get our rates down. We're basically looking for a rates reduction, and a serious rates reduction, and we need it fast. We need it yesterday, not in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, because businesses are closing by the minute. In August alone in Ireland, there was 200 companies went into liquidation. That was the highest that ever was in 1 month in Ireland. It is up 60% on last year's amount for August. So the thing is not getting better, it's getting worse. So far this year, there's been about 2,000 businesses have closed down, 2,000 companies, because this is not taking into account the sole traders who are having to pay rates who have closed their businesses, and that's not part of the statistics that's coming forward. We want to lobby the TDs as quickly as possible, and we're looking for a meeting with the ministers to be able to do this. We want them to recognise that something has to be done, and we're demanding that they do something about it very, very fast. Being business people and employers, we are of course acutely aware of the present difficulties facing the government, and but we have to get something done about it. You can't get blood from a stone. We no longer have the money available to us to be able to pay rates at the levels that they are looking for. All we are looking for here, we're not against paying rates. We want to be able to pay our rates, but we want to be able to pay affordable rates. So with that in mind, we commissioned Jim Power to look at different ways of which maybe we could suggest to the government that they could do some things. So I'm going to hand over now. I'm going to thank you very much. I haven't much more to say. I'm going to hand over to Jim, who has done his report, and he'll give you a synopsis on his report. So thank you very much for listening.